nominate Honorable Tajudeen Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
I, Abbas Tajudeen,
Continue from where I left.
God, so help me God.
We must adopt to address the multifaceted challenges that confront us through synergy.
Lawmakers call for collaborative efforts in addressing Nigeria's economic challenges.
It is our resolve to see that Nigerians, wherever they are, live their normal lives in peace and relative ease.
And Speaker Abbas Tajudeen gives Nigerians hope over hardship and insecurity. Glad to have you join us again on the program House Ticket, a weekly program that takes you through the activities and events of your lawmakers elected into the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Dihelia Mamza. On our lineup today, we shall bring you reports of the second edition of the sectoral debate organized by the House during plenary. The sector under the searchlight was the finance sector, and the major theme explored was the current cost of living in the country. In attendance were the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service to give insights into the current economic realities. Still on the program, we have a report of the World Press Conference organized by the Speaker of the House, Right Abbas Tajudeen, where he speaks on pressing national issues. All of this, as well as a summary of what transpired during plenary in the last 1 week, make up this episode of House Ticket. Please stay tuned for details coming up shortly.
I, Abbas Tajudeen, the House will pay priority attention to participatory budgeting process and delivery, law reform, electoral reform, women's participation and inclusion in governance, among others.
Welcome back. The second edition of the sectoral debate of the House of Representatives held on Tuesday, 6 February 2024. The focus, as I mentioned earlier, is the finance sector, as the House interacted with top government functionaries in the sector, namely Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Olayemi Kadoso, and the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Zak Adedeji. Declaring the session open, Deputy Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu, stated that the country is in a situation where the collective decision of the Parliament and the policy implementation of the government must impact Nigerians positively, adding that a large-scale reform measures are needed to pull Nigeria out of its current daunting economic challenges.
We must adopt to address the multifaceted challenges that confront us. Through synergy, we can align our strategies, consolidate our efforts, and amplify the impact of our initiatives. In the face of global economic shift and domestic challenges, it is clear that robust reform measures are not just beneficial but imperative. We are at a pivotal moment where the decisions we make and the policies we implement will impact the lives of millions of Nigerians. The reform we envisage should not only address the immediate needs, but also lay a foundation that is resilient.
Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu also emphasized the principle of synergy while reminding the lawmakers as well as the stakeholders of the expectations that Nigerians have on them.
As we engage in this sectorial debate, let us remember that the eyes of our nations are upon us, looking with hope and expectations for outcomes that will reinforce the pillars of our economy, safeguard our fiscal integrity, and ensure a prosperous and inclusive future for our nation, Nigeria. The role of the Parliament is not just an oversight, but of active, visionary leadership.
We are now at a turning point.
In their separate presentations, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of Finance and his counterparts in the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, as well as the Federal Inland Revenue Service Chairman, assured Nigerians that the high cost of living being witnessed is currently being addressed, while the federal government is doing everything possible to calm the current inflation in the country.
Where we are as a nation economically.
In his presentation, the Finance Minister, Wale Edun, explained that the country is where it is at the moment due to a series of poor economic policies over the years.
We were in an unsustainable place in terms of the fiscal situation of Nigeria. We were on the road to economic disaster. We had expenditure which was wasteful and unsustainable by way of the subsidy, not just on fuel, but the subsidy on foreign exchange, which confused the incentive framework. Of course, in turning back from that road, as we have heard, there will be dust. However, bold measures have been taken, and there have been positive results.
For the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Atiku Bagudu, he informed the House that the current economic trials faced is being looked into with a strategic plan to resolve the challenges.
We are very clear that we are on the right track, and the challenges of the moment are being dealt with. Daily, we are attending meetings under the leadership of the coordinating Minister of the Economy to interrogate what we are doing and to bring more. And we are getting support from international partners. The ministry, even yesterday, we had the German Minister for Economy, we have had EU delegations, all acknowledging the commendable steps that Nigeria had taken under the able leadership of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and assuring us of support. And even in the last 7 months, with private sector investment, we have seen announcement of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Railway. We have seen investments in LNG space. We are interacting with holders of long-term capital almost on a daily basis. The President, all of us in the team, and as well as many members of the cabinet. We are assured that we will overcome the challenge of the moment and we be on our path to sustain economic growth.
The CBN Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, on his part, assured the House that the Apex Bank is working assiduously to bring lasting solutions to the rising inflation through enhanced agriculture.
Globally, the landscape continues to be very challenging, and that key policy priorities involve ensuring durable inflation reduction, addressing fiscal pressures, and fostering sustainable and inclusive growth. The global monetary policy environment is expected to remain restrictive until sustained inflation reduction becomes evident. Obviously, that has huge repercussions for us in Nigeria. Governments around the world must grapple with rising fiscal pressures, necessitating credible medium-term fiscal frameworks to effectively manage debt burdens. Inflationary pressures are expected to decline in 2024 due to the CBN's inflationary targeting policy aiming to rein in inflation to 21.4%, aided by improved agricultural productivity and easing global supply chain pressures.
The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zach Adedeji, when he spoke, dismissed fears that the federal government is planning to increase tax. He said the service is re-strategizing on ways that will generate positive results for the economy.
We've developed the strategy to make sure that we focus on our customer, in this case, our taxpayer, so that we can garner all what is needed, and not only because we are not only to collect taxes, because the relationship between the service and the taxpayer is that of symbiotic. We are providing the economic advice and taxpayer services to them, because the focus of Mr. President is not to tax the seed, not to tax the investment. We are not to tax the poverty. We are to focus on prosperity, we are to focus on the fruit, and we are to focus on the return on investment.
Can you explain to the House?
After their presentations, lawmakers took turns to ask the stakeholders questions.
How do you avoid double taxation on Nigerians? And then, do you have incentives for taxpayers? I'm not talking about the big boys, Dangote and all that. For the common Nigerians, what are the tax incentives you have that will encourage them to be in the tax net?
We are putting an arrangement together between us and the state through Joint Tax Board to work and have this information sharing without compromising the confidentiality of the taxpayer. And the incentive for taxpayer comes in various ways. And just to put it in proper perspective, and that is why complying with tax is law. We administer law. It's not persuasion. It is law. We must comply with the law. If you fail to comply with the law, you've disobeyed the law. It's not about begging. So the duty of Federal Inland Revenue is to administer the tax law. So the point of incentives and everything, because without taxes, there is no way we provide facility.
Of recent, you have moved some department to Lagos. And a lot of people in the country were shouting. Why? Because this department have been in Abuja for over 20 years. No CBN governor has thought of moving it to Lagos. But when you came in, you decided to move those departments to Lagos. Some people felt the movement has a sectional agenda. Can you explain to the House why you move those units to Lagos, bearing in mind that those units or departments have been operating very well in Abuja without any complaint or any comes from any quarters?
Quite frankly, nothing political about it. Let me be upfront about that. Absolutely nothing political about it. The central bank has branches all over the country. It has branches in every single state of the Federation. And there's a need to calibrate strengths and resources between the various parts of the Federation. That's basically it. In certain parts, and it's the same in the United States, absolutely no different. Where you are getting information and statistics in one part of the country, it is good to have people who have the skills and are bringing in the results for the bank. So this is a tool whereby we're able to rebalance our skills around the country.
You're still on to House Tickets. Coming your way on the NTA Parliament. Our next report will bring you some of the motions as well as bills that were debated and considered by the House in the last 1 week. Certificate racketeering and electoral reforms are some of the subject matters explored by the lawmakers in their deliberations. Let's get the details in this next report from our studio.
colleagues, the need to invest.
On Wednesday, 7th February 2024, Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata moved a motion on need to investigate the allegations of certificate racketeering by Nigerian students in collusion with some officials from various ministries, departments, and agencies in Nigeria.
In the last 2 months, the country has been plagued by a scandal involving Umar Audu, a journalist who went undercover to investigate a booming business where he obtained a certificate and a transcript from Ecole Supreme de la Gestion et de Technologies in Cotonou, Benin Republic, Cotonou, and participated in the NYSC within a month. It was craftily achieved with the active involvement and connivance of government officials and the Federal Ministry of Education, the Nigerian Immigration Service, and National Youth Service Corps. Alarmed that the journalist recounted his experience where the agent gave the option of studying either for a year, a month, but he opted for 1 month in which he obtained a certificate and transcript without attending lectures at the said university or without leaving Nigeria.
The House, among several resolutions, agreed to condemn in its entirety the act of certificate racketeering by Nigerian students in collusion with some officials from MDAs in Nigeria and mandate the Committee on University Education to, amongst other things, identify and recommend appropriate sanctions to serve as deterrent for others.
Those in support of this motion should say aye.
The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Youth Development.
Mr. Speaker, the motion reads.
Another motion on the order paper that was adopted was on the need to immortalize former Speaker of the House of Representatives, late Honorable Gali Umar Na'aba, by naming the National Assembly Service Commission building after him. The motion came up on Thursday, 8th February 2024.
Late Na'aba was praised as an influential Speaker of the House of Representatives between 1999 to 2003 on account of his courageous, dynamic, outspoken pursuit of legislative independence, a revolutionary approach of running the House as the Speaker within that period. Fashion out a cohesive, inclusive, mutual thinking and participatory House and regulate debate on the state of the nation. Cognizance of the need to immortalize him by naming the National Assembly Commission building after him in honor of his legacy.
Those in support of this motion should say aye.
The motion was voted on and adopted as amended, with the House resolving to observe a minute silence in honor of the late Honorable Gali Umar Na'aba, commemorate former Speaker, the late Honorable Gali Umar Na'aba, by naming the National Assembly Service Commission building after him to honor his legacy.
We should not punish a voter.
Moving on, the House debated a bill at second reading. It was titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Electoral Act 2022 and for related matters.
After the elections and everything we have gone through, we find that there is a need for an amendment to the Electoral Act 2022 to address some of the challenges that we faced during the election, to correct some obvious defects in the Act, and to get us better prepared for coming elections.
We witnessed in the last election that many people that were elected in numbers had the election reversed because of technicalities in our court. Therefore, it is imperative that we do everything possible to ensure that the Electoral Act is in tune with the reality of the day and help us to elect effectively and in line with our constitution.
The bill was read the second time and referred to the relevant committee of the House for further scrutiny. Another bill that skilled second reading was titled A Bill for an Act to Repeal the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Act 2010 and enact the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Act to establish Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board and provide for legal framework, structures and programs for the strengthening of Nigerian content in the Nigerian oil and gas industry and for related matters. The bill was sponsored by Representative Olatunji Akinoshi alongside 35 other lawmakers.
Mr. Speaker, permit me to say that some of the benefits of the bill that we are proposing is going to save us foreign currency and increase our national
national foreign reserve. The bill, if allowed to pass, will also massively create jobs for our teeming youth in the oil and gas industry.
Those in support of this motion should say aye.
The bill was read the second time and referred to the House Committee on Nigerian Content and Monitoring.
Clerk.
Meanwhile, several bills were presented for first reading. They include Social Security Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Abbas Tajudeen; Fiscal Responsibility Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Oluwole Oke, as well as a Senate bill titled Cybercrimes Prohibition Prevention Act Amendment Bill 2024.
In case you just joined us, the program is House Ticket, bringing you the activities and events of our lawmakers at the Green Chamber in the National Assembly. Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Abbas Tajudeen, addressed a World Press Conference in his office in Abuja, during which he recognized the concerns of Nigerians on the current state of the economy, security, and other issues. This is even as he pledged to double efforts towards addressing the various challenges. The Speaker explained that the World Press Conference, which held on Thursday, 8 February 2024, is dedicated to addressing some of the most pressing national issues.
As representative of the Nigerian people, we cannot pay lip service to the plight of the same individuals who elected us into office to protect their interests. It is our resolve to see that Nigerians, wherever they are, live their normal lives in peace and relative ease.
Speaker Abbas expressed concerns over the rising security challenges affecting different parts of the country, while sympathizing with victims of vicious crimes and violence.
As elected representatives, we acknowledge the pain and suffering of every family that has been a victim of brutal crimes and needless violence. Let it be known that your cries have not fallen on deaf ears, and your tears have not gone unforeseen. We stand in solidarity with every Nigerian affected and commit to deploy robust legislative measures to empower our security agencies, ensure justice, and restore peace and order in our communities.
Speaking on the state of the economy, Speaker Abbas said that the government was equally committed to reversing the downturn and setting the country back on a path of sustainable growth.
We in the National Assembly have supported and will continue to support the government's efforts in finding effective solutions to these challenges. For the first time in history of the Nigerian legislature, the 10th House set up a committee on nutrition and food security with a mandate to strengthen the legislative framework for nutrition governance in Nigeria, advocate for inclusion of nutrition in government priority programs, and monitor resource allocation for nutrition in the annual budget estimates.
The Speaker expressed his worry over the rise in defamation campaigns on social media involving the deliberate dissemination of false and misleading information with the intent to harm the reputation of individuals or organizations. He made a call to Nigerians to join hands in solidarity to support government policies and work together towards a better and more unified Nigeria. As we end the program today, we thank you all for being a part of House Tickets. Hope we've been able to provide you with the education that has enlightened you on the workings of the legislative arm of government. For more on the activities of our lawmakers, keep a date with us on this station. Thanks for being there and see you next week.